In 2024, Team UFO created our first robot, a two-wheel drive beater bar that competed at the Sonoran Showdown and Evac Cactus Clash. UFO went 6-4 in tournament fights, giving the team a winning record in its first year. Now, Team UFO created the next iteration of this design, the wide spinner on the front with a wedge on the back, making the entire frame an isosceles triangle. The next iteration is not called UFO 2.0, but instead is rebranded to Piece of Cake for a more fun visual appeal than a typical combat robot. In this video, we'll take a look at the 2025 spring semester following Team UFO and Piece of Cake. Between UFO and Piece of Cake, the most notable change is by far the drum spinner. Last year, UFO used two aluminum 7075 beater bars with a pulley running down the middle. This was a problem for a few reasons. Most notably, the pulley fell off in about half the matches, the aluminum always lost weapon on weapon, and we didn't get much bite, and the entire assembly was a pain to assemble. The new steel drum fixed a lot of those issues, but presented a big new one: cost. This drum is by far the most expensive part the club has ever ordered outside of Disarray, which we are avoiding for next year. Additionally, we were unable to harden the drum in time for competition, which we are currently working on. While these two problems are not good, the new drum did fix everything wrong with the old beater bar design. Other than the drum, we used our new CNC router to cut the UHMW side rails that support the drive motors in the drum shaft, which works great and will be carried on in the future. Another new addition is the TPU front bumpers, which worked well enough and are better than having the open space, but they definitely need a redesign. Some of the electronics changed as well. The battery was upgraded to 4S, and putting a capacitor in parallel across the 40 amp weapon ESC seems to have solved the receiver connection issues from the previous tournament. With all of these new design changes, Piece of Cake was ready for Sonoran Showdown 2025. Our first match was against Box Rush, a joke robot. This is by far Piece of Cake's worst performance because two critical things went wrong. Firstly, the weapon motor ESC just decided to break. We still don't know why. The other thing was that the little tabs on the front TPU bumpers were just tall enough to lift one wheel off the ground, forcing Piece of Cake to crab walk. So because of that, the first match wasn't a good test of the performance of this robot. At least the spectators thought the cat eating the cake was funny. Once the ESC was switched and the tabs got cut off, Piece of Cake fought Micro Menace, another U of A robot. This time, Piece of Cake worked flawlessly, getting the first hit and never letting them breathe. To be safe, Team UFO let Micro Menace get counted out, even though Micro Menace wanted their robot to die. Next, Piece of Cake fought Paul Rudd, another Fingertech beater bar, but with steel armor. This match started like last time, and Paul Rudd's belt instantly fell off. The damage Piece of Cake was doing was decent, until half of Drive gave out. Paul Rudd got stuck on the wall after one last crab walk hit and got counted out. What actually happened with Drive is that one of the motor's solder came off, which is great because it was a simple human error of a bad solder rather than a design error. After Paul Rudd was Liberator. Liberator is the U of A's best performing robot, getting third place at the Evac tournament and known to be really reliable. There were some good initial hits until a couple of things failed. Firstly, the indicator light got tangled in one of the wheels, limiting its movement. Secondly, Liberator hit the side armor so hard that it actually bent the aluminum wheel hub inside the motor around one of the bolts we were mounting to, completely immobilizing the other half of Drive. Somehow, Piece of Cake remained mobile for 3 minutes but took considerable mechanical damage. In addition, one of the armor plates snapped, and a bolt in the armor sheared. Unfortunately, Piece of Cake was eliminated by Liberator. Only going 2-2 with an improved design was not good, especially since the club took the top 3 performing robots to NHRL in May, which Piece of Cake did not qualify for. However, Piece of Cake still participated in grudge matches. First was Piece of Cake versus Liberator versus Spin to Win, an all Wildcats mini rumble. It was going great for Piece of Cake until the battery died and Liberator took another win. That seems to be a common theme here. Liberator versus Piece of Cake or UFO always has the same outcome, and it's not even close. The final match of Sonoran Showdown was a grudge match against Lil Ragnarok, who destroyed UFO last year. This time, Piece of Cake lasted the whole 3 minutes, but took some of the biggest hits in the whole competition and sustained severe mechanical damage. However, this time was still a better performance than a knockout in 45 seconds. Probably the most important thing about Sonoran Showdown was that Piece of Cake won Judge's favorite robot, which means that the theming was good. Even though UFO didn't win the combat aspect, Team UFO still walked away with something. After Sonoran Showdown, the aluminum armor was finally switched to TPU, making use of wood screws, which worked surprisingly well because most of our structure is held in place by UHMW rails. Wildcat Robotics had 3 slots in NHRL's May tournament, and the qualifying robots were determined by their performance at Sonoran Showdown, which did not include Piece of Cake. But Team UFO still wanted redemption, so we took Piece of Cake to NHRL anyways for freestyle matches. The only match Piece of Cake was given was against Anubis, the Lynx-style 4-wheel drive beater bar. The beginning of this match was a beatdown. Piece of Cake was taking hit after hit until it got stuck behind the housebot. Most of this time we were upside down, which wasn't optimal for driving or the direction of our drum spinning. After getting free and hit back right side up, Piece of Cake began to shine. Something broke on Anubis, causing their entire robot to shake. So now each hit went in favor of Piece of Cake. After the fight, there was no damage on Piece of Cake other than some scuffs in the drum, which was expected. Piece of Cake actually won the judge's decision because of that one piece breaking in the opponent, rounding out Piece of Cake's best ever performance and toughest opponent yet. Later in the day, Piece of Cake participated in the Rumble, where all that really happened was the random 12-pound robot ripped off the side bumper. All of Wildcat Robotics wanted to do more matches since we were there at NHRL, but we could only fight each other and Anubis. Everyone decided that the 3-bot mini rumbles were the most fun idea, so Piece of Cake faced off against Liberator again, and then Phobos. This fight is the only time Piece of Cake has lost a weapon belt, because one was too stretched out and the other got hit. After that, Piece of Cake showed that it could be an effective control bot, pinning the others multiple times despite them having functional active weapons. Next was Piece of Cake, Liberator, and Anubis. Anubis killed Liberator's weapon, but then stopped working altogether, meaning Piece of Cake was the last robot with a working weapon, which sounds like a win. There weren't any judges' decisions for either match, but it was still worth it, and Piece of Cake performed pretty well at NHRL despite not even competing. In 2025, Piece of Cake went 2-2 in official tournament matches, and 3-3 if we count grudge matches, making it the most perfectly mid-robot. In this upcoming semester, we hope that the improvements we made for NHRL and are making in the future enable it to measure up to the other top-tier robots. This semester was a great opportunity to once again try things out, even if it didn't go to plan. Stay tuned for more from Piece of Cake and Team UFO here at Wildcat Robotics.